All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are going to get things kicked off here in just a second. So if you guys want to bear with me, I will get things up and rolling here. Hope you guys are enjoying this entertaining weather we've had of a little bit of cold, a little bit of hot, and a little bit of everything in between. I've been enjoying the rain, especially my kids. It was great until yesterday. We were trying to clear out our garage, and we started raining on us while everything was out of the garage. So we're like, ah! So that didn't work out too well, so we got to run everything back inside the house. But, thank you. What? And my computer's being obnoxious, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. All right, so hi everybody, my name's John Gator, and I guess this is actually live from Wellington, and this is actually my first live stream as a member of the Board of Trustees. And we were, the new board was sworn in this prior Tuesday at the board meeting, so kind of excited to do that. And I do want to make one thing, since I'm now officially doing my podcast and I am on the Board of Trustees, I do want to make sure that, you know, anything that I do talk about, thoughts and things that I have and share here on the show, those are my thoughts, those are my opinions, those are not necessarily the opinions or thoughts of the rest of the Board of Trustees. I do not speak for anyone other than myself. Which has never been the case. I've never spoken for anyone other than myself. But when I do share things on here, I do want to make it clear I don't share the thoughts and ideas of the board. I share my own thoughts and opinions. So looking forward to chatting with you guys today. Please do share any questions or comments that you guys do have. I have seen a couple of comments that came up here over this last over the weekend, and I will definitely address those when we get to the water issue because they were specific to that. But the things we're going to cover today, I'm going to do just a brief recap of the board meeting this last Sunday, or last Tuesday, I apologize, and then also go over the agenda for this upcoming board meeting. We're going to talk a little bit about vacancies and availability for serving on other boards within the town, and then also talk about some ideas from you guys and community engagement. And I really just want to hear from you guys. What are some ways that you would like to see your elected officials engaging with you more and doing more with you guys? So we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. And real quick, just in case you don't know how to get to agendas, so this is the town website. You can see here on the screen, my picture's in the way, so let me move that so you guys can actually see. I'll put myself down here in the corner. Townofwellington.com, this is the town website. And if you go to our town, and then you go over to under the government tab, if you see here it says government, and you see agendas and minutes, and if you click on that, agendas and minutes, and that will take you to the agenda center. And on the agenda center, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see upcoming events. So you can see the Community Activities Commission and the Board of Trustees meeting are both this coming Tuesday, which I'm going to have fun with because I'm now officially on both. Anyways, if you click this little green arrow right here, it'll give you a drop down. You can either click on the agenda or the agenda packet, and it will show you the information for that upcoming meeting. Once a meeting is passed, it will go to this most recent events, and you can actually go into that, and you can see here from the Board of Trustees, you can download the agenda and the agenda packet. Once it's been long enough that you get to a few days past and the meeting minutes have been entered and officially set, you can actually go and view the minutes from that on here as well. And then you just go through separate pages. Also on that note, if you'd like to get notified, you can actually set up a subscription here, which is what I did. And you can actually just get an email notification every time that an agenda is posted. You will actually get emailed that agenda directly to your email inbox. So just want to make sure, walk you guys through that if you've never done that before. That's how it works. But moving on, we're going to go to the agenda from the board meeting this last Tuesday on the 28th of April. So basically, the items that were on the agenda from the beginning portion of community participation, we had two presentations, one from Callie Cooper from the Wellington Main Streets program, which was giving us just kind of an update on some of the things that Main Streets is doing here in Wellington. And this is the same Callie who was a guest on our show this last weekend. And she did a fantastic job just sharing with the town at the board meeting what was going on and what they had happening and what Main Streets has been doing to keep the businesses up and running here in Wellington. And then we also had Tom Gonzalez come on from the Public Health Director for Larimer County, and he kind of just gave us an update on how things are looking in Larimer County, just kind of the different situation as far as COVID-19 is what we're experiencing and what we're seeing, and also answered a couple of questions that came up from the citizens. And so we had that, and those were both really good presentations. The consent agenda, and just a reminder to all of you guys, these are things that basically the board will put them on the consent agenda just so that we can get through things more quickly. If there's ever an item on here that there is a concern about, that you as a citizen have a concern about, all you have to do is just ask that it be removed from the consent agenda. Anybody can do it. It can be a board member or it can be a citizen. You just ask for it to be removed from the consent agenda and it will actually be moved down to an action item. So once the consent agenda was finished here, we had the changing of the board. So this was completed by the old board, and then the new board was sworn in here at item D. And then we moved straight into the action. We appointed officers, we appointed board members to the specific boards in the town. Each of the boards that the town has, we try to have a town board of trustees liaison to that board, just to help facilitate communication. I know I've talked with a few people on some of the boards where we haven't had that liaison person from the board, and it has made things a little more difficult because there hasn't been the clearest of communication, and sometimes that does cause problems. So we had those appointments, and we appointed, myself, I was appointed to the Community Activities Commission, the CAC, which I'm looking forward to. Like I was telling you guys earlier, I get to figure out how to do 2 meetings. So basically I'll do the beginning of the CAC meeting, and then I'm going to have to hop out because of how COVID-19 is working. Normally the Board of Trustees meets second and fourth Tuesday of the month. This month, because we're doing it every Tuesday, we are actually meeting on the same day at the same time as the CAC. So I will catch the beginning of that meeting, and then I'm going to have to hop over to the main board meeting. But it's going to be a fun day on a Tuesday. Anyway, so that was our boards and commissions. That was fantastic. We had the second resolution was we appointed the Mayor Pro Tem. We appointed Wyatt Knutson. And I did want to answer on this because I had received a couple of comments from different citizens that it seemed strange that there was no discussion, and it kind of seemed like we just voted and approved Wyatt being the Mayor Pro Tem. And I just wanted to fill you guys in. He was the only member of the board who had submitted that he was willing to take that role, and all of us felt comfortable with him doing it. So it wasn't a thing where we're just like, oh, we're gonna make a decision, and it was simply no one else was. Everyone said Wyatt was the only one who stepped up and said, I'm willing to do it, and everyone felt comfortable with him doing that job. So that was that resolution there. Item number 3, we had the purchase request for the crosswalk safety project. This was approved by the prior board to get flashing crosswalk signals on 3rd and 5th Street, as well as down outside the schools. So this was approved prior, and we're just now moving forward to be able to we've already got the signs up, which if you guys have seen them by the schools, we do already have the knockdown yellow signs are outside the schools. They look fantastic. And we're waiting for CDOT, obviously, for the things on Cleveland, but those will be going up on Cleveland once we're able to get approval from CDOT. But this is actually approval for the town to go out and purchase the flashing signals and everything else that they need to do that. So that was approved. And then here on item 4, we had a purchase request for a dump truck. And that was actually great because it was a budgeted item that was already in the budget, but because of how things are going with COVID-19, it looks like we're going to be able to actually get 2 trucks that will handle the needs of the town that we had that were budgeted for this year, as well as a truck that's probably going to need to be replaced next year, not last year. Will need to be replaced in the future. So that was fantastic. Our staff is finding a way to just really try to be conscientious on how we're spending taxpayer dollars. So that was great to see that they were able to take what was already budgeted and make that go a little bit farther. So that was fantastic. And hopefully this may help some with snow removal. For those of you who are like me and get frustrated sometimes by the roads when we get a bad snowstorm, hopefully some of this will help. And then also we had item 5. This was authorization of the Capital Improvement Fund. And so what this was authorizing was taking funds, if I remember correctly, the amount was around $145,000 roughly, that was budgeted for an economic development study and the downtown Main Streets some Main Streets project that with master plan, downtown Main Street master plan. And so we had funds that were allocated for those 2, and those funds were reallocated. Now, I did have some concerns about taking funds from one thing that we had budgeted, especially in the middle of an economic downturn, and taking those to another. Thankfully, the town staff was able to share with us that with the Main Streets program, that master plan is actually going to be on hold because we're waiting to get the comprehensive plan that is being done right now finished. And that's going to really kind of entail what goes into that master plan. And then we were also told that it sounds like rather than having to pay an outside consultant $80,000 to do the economic development study, Michelle Vance, who is our economic developer for the town, who is on staff, said she can actually go through and do a lot of that herself, and she thinks that she can actually pull that off without us having to go out and pay for a consultant to do that. So by, again, our staff is able to, one of the projects is getting pushed anyways because we're waiting on another project that won't wrap up till later this year. And then the second project, our town staff is actually going to step up, take the ball, and do that so we don't have to pay for that. So that was fantastic. So we did approve moving those funds. And then Resolution 6, this was the emergency declaration. And this was basically the board voted to extend our declaration of emergency indefinitely, which basically means it is active until the board ends it. That right now, only thing that really entails is it entails our ability to get funding from the federal government with their disaster programs and FEMA and everything like that, as well as it enables us to do our meetings online. Because right now, the town code only provides us the ability to hold meetings online in a state of emergency. So, and I did want to clarify, because if you were at the board meeting, you'll notice that I did not vote for this. I voted against it. And I want to explain the reasoning behind that. I have no issue with how we're doing it. It's not that I don't think that we are in a state of emergency. It's not that I don't think the situation is serious. I completely agree with all of those. The issue that I have with it is I don't feel comfortable with any government entity being given an indefinite amount of emergency powers. Now, in our case, those powers are next to nothing. It's basically ability to meet online. The town of Wellington does not have powers to do much of anything. But for me, it's more of a principle of the thing, because if for whatever reason there is a change in the future to what those powers entail and there's still no end date. So even if we'd said the end date is, you know, the end of June or whatever, that would have been fine. I'm happy to vote for that. So that's the reason I voted against that. So just so you guys are aware, it's not that I don't think we're in a serious situation. It's not that I disagree with the direction we're going or even the reasons they're doing it. Just from a philosophical standpoint, I think that we as the government, I feel more comfortable giving people a set time of here's where we're at, here's where we're going, and if we have to change it and extend it, that's fine, then we do that. But that did pass, it was approved. Just it does make life easier because we don't have to keep reapproving a state of emergency at this point. So those were kind of the major items, and then we had some reports from the town staff, had information from the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, as well as we had our treasurer's report. And then I did have a couple of items. I did not get to share all of those with the board, so I am going to bring some of those back up this next week in my board report. And then the board did go into executive session, and that was spelled out here at the bottom. As you can see, this was to discuss negotiations for water acquisition, which we were able to give our town staff direction. And that actually should be coming to this next agenda, where they should be coming back to us with a contract. So I'm assuming they were able to negotiate a situation with purchasing water. And my understanding is that's coming to the board for approval of that contract this coming Tuesday. So looking forward to that. So that was our executive session. So that was our board meeting. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, but I'm going to hop over to the upcoming board meeting and give you guys a quick run through on what we have coming from there. All right. So on this board meeting, again, if you guys have any public comment at the beginning of every meeting, please come and share your comments, any thoughts that you have. The second thing that's on there, and this is under community participation, is it's a presentation on the utility water rate study. And I would highly recommend that you guys try to make the board meeting on Tuesday. I'm not going to go into all this. The board is not making a decision to raise the rates right now, but the bottom line is what came back is that the rates for the water that are being charged are not enough to support what is going on. We're actually losing money on water right now. And so this is going to be the rate study, and they're going to be showing us kind of what they went through, how they got it, what it means, and then not Tuesday, but the board is going to have to make a decision on whether we adjust our rates and what that looks like. And so I really would like you guys to come be involved, hear the study, take a look at it. It is attached. If you pull up the document, you can read through this. I've briefly gone over it. I have to go through it more again before the board meeting. We're going to get real familiar with this before we make our decision. But this is a big deal because this is going to affect all of us. I mean, I live in downtown where I have to pay for water to use everything, water in the grass, you name it. So I'm going to be personally very affected by this water rate. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we are not running our town into the ground because we don't make good decisions. So so that presentation will be there. Again, I highly recommend you guys try to make it for that. So you understand what's going on and that you can ask good and educated questions, not educated in the sense of you need to go to school to water, but just, understanding what the board is talking about, what we're looking at, which rates are they discussing, and how are they thinking about changing them. So this is an opportunity for you guys to understand what information is that we have that we're going to be making that decision based off of. I also want to point out here on the consent agenda, you will see there's one item. It is a resolution for a water loan signing authority. I still need to do a little bit more research into exactly what is being approved here. But again, that's something the resolution is attached to the agenda. So please make sure you look at this because as it stands right now, this is on the consent agenda, which means it will not be opened up for discussion unless someone specifically asks for it to be opened up for discussion. So just please be aware of that. Moving on to our action items, we're going to have a COVID-19 update from Kelly Hodling, our interim town administrator. Then we're going to have resolution 12-2020, which is where we're going to be appointing a town administrator and clerk, town treasurer, town attorney, and municipal judge. Those were moved to this meeting just so we trustees, the new ones, could have a little more time to go through information and make sure that we're comfortable with what we're doing here. Then we're going to have the annual report from Larimer County Sheriff's Office. And I would highly recommend, I know people have brought up concerns to me over the last 6 months about what's happening, what are they doing, questions. Hey, this is an opportunity for you guys to ask those questions. So if you have questions, concerns, or even if you think they're doing a fantastic job, take a moment to make a public comment, let them know that, let the board know, and just really work on ways that we can communicate about that. So that is the Larimer County Sheriff's report. And right here, you can see item 4. This is going to be our agreement for sale and purchase of water shares. So this is, again, what we went into executive session the last meeting was to give staff direction on negotiating. And then they went and did their job, it looks like. And it looks like they are going to be able to come back to us with an agreement for actually purchasing water, which we need water, so that's a good thing. After that, we're going to be going into the town reports. And you can see here on staff communication, there's an update on the retirement plan. And then I will also I have several items that are on my agenda for me personally on my board report that I would like to talk with the board about. And those items are, one, I want to talk a little bit about the audit that the town does and what exactly that looks like. And then also I want to discuss the idea of doing a community forum, where obviously we have these Tuesday meetings right now every week, but normally bi-weekly. We do have a portion at the beginning that is for public comment. But the idea is, and I'm going to actually put this out to you guys to get your thoughts on whether this is something you guys would even value, but to just have an opportunity where you as the citizens can just come in and ask questions of the board. We're not presenting to you, we're not making decisions on things, we don't have an agenda of items that we're trying to get through. Literally the only purpose for the forum is to hear questions or concerns from you guys, the citizens, and just to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts, share your concerns. So obviously, we don't know if this is something that's valuable to you as a community, but also see if this is something that the Board of Trustees is willing to do and thinks would be valuable also. And then we are actually going to be discussing my live stream and what that looks like. Obviously, with me being a board member now, exactly what things can be said, not said, whatever. There were some concerns that were brought up to me, so would like to have that discussion at the board meeting and find out what those are and just make sure that we're keeping you guys in the loop of what's happening. And then also the other item I want to bring up is actually removing, if you see here at the bottom of this screen, you have the executive session is on the agenda. That's just a placeholder right now that allows the board as needed to go into executive session. I am not a fan of that. I'm really focused on, I want to see more transparency and really us being open with you guys about what's going on. And if we need to go into an executive session, totally understand it. And especially like this last one where we had, we have an opportunity to purchase water, we need to do that because it's important now and it's also important for the future of our town. But I think that needs to be something that is well put out, like it was on this, where it's on the agenda exactly why we're going into, on the previous agenda, where it's spelled out exactly why we're going into executive session, and the community knows about it ahead of time, and not after the fact. Hi, Tammy. I see your comment there. Let me know if you have a question, Tammy. I'd be happy to answer it. Speaking, actually, I'm gonna get to questions and answers in just a second. But Tammy, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in chat, and I'm happy to answer that for you. Okay, so that's the kind of update I had on the board meeting. Again, recommend you guys come and join us on Tuesday. Like I said, we do have a lot to go over, and would really appreciate you guys' feedback. And I want you guys in the know on what we're doing and what's going on here. So, all right. So, moving on to the next item I have. This is the boards and commissions. So, one of the things we noticed when we were appointing people. Oh, Tammy, you're very welcome. I'm glad that you guys get value out of this. Boards and commissions, I apologize. One of the things that we noticed when we went through, and I actually will pull up the prior, let's see here, 20 boards and commissions. So if you look here, here's a list of all of our boards. So we see on the Board of Adjustments, and we have 2 vacancies here. On the Community Activities Commissions, we have 1 vacancy. On the Parks Advisory Board, we have 2 vacancies. The Library Board is the Board of Trustees. You look at the Planning Commission, we thought we had 2 vacancies. It turns out we had missed 1, so there is actually only 1 vacancy on the Planning Commission right now. And then on the Wellington Housing Authority, oh boy, there was one of these actually has 3. I'm trying to remember which one, because there was one person that was on, I think, the Housing Authority, maybe? I don't remember. It was confusing who was on which board. But we have at least 2 vacancies, maybe 3 vacancies on the Wellington Housing Authority. And then we have a separate board also for the Wellington Housing Authority. So we actually need people to be on these boards to help with making decisions. And I know there's been some comment and question in the past about, does it really matter? Do we get to do anything? And I think that one of the things that we really want to see, one of the things I want to see personally is I want to see us doing a better job of engaging with all levels of our community, but especially when we have boards like this where we have the citizens, that we are actually valuing that input and we're taking it very seriously, and that they feel like their opinion matters. So I would recommend you guys, if you've ever had a thought about being involved or being on a board or helping to direct where we go, I will be talking to town staff to see if they're going to be updating what vacancies are and then getting that out to the community. But I would recommend for you guys to come over to the town website. At the top, you go to Our Town and Boards and Commissions, and you can actually look at all the different boards, view information on what it is that they do. But then you have the opportunity, again, this is not accurate right now because we actually have more openings than are listed right here. So again, hopefully we're going to get this fixed. But you can apply for a board or commission where you can basically come in and say, hey, I would be willing to serve on this board or serve on this commission and do this or whatever. And then that would come to us, and then we as the board would figure out, okay, who do we have that's willing to do this, and then what does that look like, and who do we want to put on that board? So, and then Christine is mentioning in the comments, which is also very good to know, volunteer for events. If you're saying, hey, I want to help out, I want to be involved, but I'm not ready to make a commitment to having to be on a board or making all the decisions or showing up at the meetings all the time, we need volunteers too. I know, especially getting ready to come on to the Community Activities Commission, where we're working with all these events and things that we do around the town. We always have we need people to volunteer and help out. So you can definitely do that as well, and would highly encourage you guys to do that. So bottom line with that, we need people to help out and volunteer. We value your help, and I would appreciate it if you guys would consider, how can you step up and what little ways might you be able to help, whether that's volunteering or whether that's, taking up one of those vacancies on one of the boards that the town has. So, and again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat and I will answer those. All right, so we are going to move on to community engagement. So I will actually be creating a poll. My wife will be super excited because she's been asking me, she's like, oh, you should do a poll, not a pool. I know people want a pool too. This is a poll, not like a pool, unfortunately. I really want to get some ideas from you guys on how do you want to see your elected officials engage with you more. And obviously I do this live stream because I hope that this is helpful to you guys, just to kind of fill you guys in on what's doing, and also encourage you guys to come to the board meetings, right? I love to see people come in, and I love to hear comments. One of the greatest things, I came out of the board meeting last Tuesday, and I had 2 different citizens that gave me thoughts about things that they wanted to bring before the board, and to encourage them and help them in that process. That's exactly what my goal is to see that engagement happen. But some of the ideas that I have, and I will leave an open spot for other ideas, so if you have one, please share it. but I would like, one of the thoughts I have is a community forum, and this is something, again, I'm going to bring up to the board on Tuesday, but maybe doing a once a month meeting where it's, I don't know, it could be 15 minutes if one person comes, it could be 30 minutes if more people, I don't know how long it would be, where basically it's just an open forum. As many of the trustees that can make it, great. If not everybody can make it, not a problem. I will commit to being there at least once a month. And just to answer questions for you guys and to hear you guys out. Again, not there with an agenda, not there with work that we're going to get done. We're literally just there to talk to you guys, to see what are your concerns, what do you guys want to see happening in the town, what can be going better. So that's one of the ideas I'd like to see is, would that be valuable? Again, maybe the answer is no. But if the answer is yes, would love to hear from you guys on that, whether it's valuable. Another idea that's been brought up to me is email updates, doing something where you can just get like a, weekly, I know we get a weekly email from the town on here's what's happening. Our town administrator does a great job at sending that out. Interim town administrator, I apologize, at sending that out to us. Here's what's going on. Here's what's happening in the town right now, and for the different departments. Maybe something like that would be of value to you guys, to just get a brief recap of here's what's happening in the town right now. So an email updates, something like that would be an idea. Another idea is like a coffee meeting, so maybe a little less formal than a community forum, but just, maybe asking if a couple of the trustees would happen to, pick up different weeks maybe, and they show up at Owl Canyon Coffee at a certain day of the week at a certain time, and any citizens that want can just come and sit down and chat. That might be a possibility as well. And then one of the other ideas that I've had, that I've thrown around to a few different people, Christine comments, yes, like my father Lou Gator did at the T-Bar, a community conversation. Yep, that's exactly what my thought process is that's where I got the idea from, was from watching my dad. Attending HOA meetings is another idea that I've had, is to visit the different HOAs and come to one of the meetings that they have and just be there to answer any questions from citizens, obviously any citizen, but specifically go there to the citizens of that community that are represented by that HOA, where you just come in and say, hey, what are thoughts or concerns that you guys have, or from the HOA, that what are ways that you think that we could be working with you guys better as an HOA or as citizens of Wellington. And so that's another, and then other ideas. I would love to hear from you guys what thoughts you have about how we elected officials can do a better job of engaging with you. What works well for you? What is something that you like to do that you would enjoy? So with that, I am going to move into the Q&A process, or section. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and put those into the chat. Give me one moment here while I pull up a couple of questions that were actually asked regarding the water. So give me one moment while I pull those up, because I don't have those up on my. All right. Okay. All right. So the two questions that were asked here, Ellen starts off with hitting us with higher water rates while we're down. The sad thing is this horrible water. The others are kind of combined, because Jace says, if I think the water rates go up, then we should be investing in a better water treatment facility or something that significantly improves water quality. The water is brownish and has an off taste in the spring / summer, fall. These kind of go together, so I do want to address both of them. The good news is that we are working on that right now. I don't know where we're at, and I'm actually going to ask for a status update on this soon. But we are actually in the process of reevaluating the design plans that we had in place to build our new water treatment plant, or to expand or upgrade, basically. And the town actually, that was one of the good things what happened with our prior town administrator, is he was actually able to, with his staff, got some really good things set up for the town, got our, I guess, bond rating up to a AAA, which in essence, we took out, I believe, a $24 million loan. It might be 26. I have to double check that. It was either 24 or $26 million loan to upgrade our water plant. And because of the work that our town staff did, basically with getting our rating and built up over the time that we pay off that loan, they basically decreased our interest payments by $6 million. So basically, if you understand how a house works, right? If you buy a house for, $200,000, by the time you pay that house off over the period of your loan, usually you paid like $300,000, $400,000. In this case, right, we take out a loan for $26 million. It's going to be paid off over X number of years. You're going to pay another 20 to 30 or maybe more $1 million worth of interest. And that depends on what your rate is. Well, because of the work they did, we were basically able to cut $6 million worth of interest off of that loan, which is pretty impressive for that to be able to be done. So we already have the stuff that we need to start that, and we already have the plans in process. Now, things got delayed, and because of that delay, we actually had another company come back and reevaluate those plans, because from what I've been told, there were some questions about whether those plans were correct, and we may have actually had stuff in there that we didn't need. So we are in the process. So to address those, we are in the process of building a water treatment plant or upgrading the one we have and improving that water quality. The construction on that was supposed to start in October of this year. I don't know what that's going to look like with everything that's happened with COVID-19. Like I said, I will work on getting an update for you guys on where we're at with that project. But the hard part is we may not even know, just simply because we're still waiting to figure out how everything is going to work out. So hopefully that answers those two questions. Yes, we understand. And we'll hear more about it on Tuesday on where we're at with the water rates. And hopefully we'll get some answers on where we're looking at with the prices and how much of a loss are we at. I know we are losing money right now. I don't know the exact number, so hopefully we'll get a little bit of that on Tuesday. So I would again encourage you guys, come Tuesday, hear the presentation, get the information, so that then you can have informed conversations with us, the trustees, as we figure out what do we do with this. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's you guys' town, and we want to do a good job with that. So, all right. So, okay. So I have comment from Tammy. She says, engagement like this is fantastic. We've had the mentality for so long of minimal growth. I understand we are a bedroom community, but having recreational plus daily needs available will keep us out of Fort Collins. Building more houses sends money to outside areas. We need to bring it here. Being part of an HOA would be amazing as well. They tend to use the town as an excuse. Okay, so love your comments there, Tammy. As to one, I agree. We have been a bedroom community, and that's kind of hard as we're changing a lot. And I've heard this comment from a lot of people, is we really would like to see more businesses. And I'm with you guys. I don't like having to drive into Fort Collins to shop for a lot of the things that I need. I don't like having to drive into Fort Collins to do work or to drive my daughter to work. I would love to be able to live, work, do everything that I need right here in Wellington. And I think there's a lot of people that are on that same board. And I think that I agree with that. And from a lot of the trustees that I've talked to, and from a lot of the town people that they understand that. And a lot of them are looking at how can we do that, but we want to make sure that we do things well. So that is a great question on that. And yeah, I'd love to be part of the HOA, so we'll see where that goes. And Tammy also asked a question, will we ever have our own police department? And then Lyle, do we need our own police department? And that is a good question. And I've talked to people actually on both sides. I've talked with people who have of the opinion that we could actually sustain and handle our own police department. For me, a lot of it really comes down to what is that going to look like on a cost standpoint, and are we having the needs that we have? Are the needs that we have currently being met by Larimer County Sheriff's Office? Now, currently, I've had a great opportunity to meet Michael Raridan, who is our sergeant up here, and from where I stand, they've been doing a fantastic job. I know I've heard from people on both sides of that, and I don't know what the answer is, and I would like to see us work out a system where we really have a really good understanding of, if the community feels like our needs are not being met, that what does that look like? The issue that I have when we look at bringing in our own police department is there's a huge amount of expense to that. Now, people say, well, there's a huge amount of expense to paying Larimer County Sheriff. Absolutely there is. But if we are to have our own police department, one of the things that we are at a premium right now here in Wellington is space. We're running into that right now with just this town staff that we have. And I know people have talked about wanting a rec center, and there's a lot of things that people would love to see here in Wellington. And the question is even if we're able to make it work financially, we're able to look at things and say, hey, it would actually make financial sense, and we think that they would do just as good a job, if not a better job, than Larimer County. Where would we put that? So from my standpoint, I'm very happy with what Larimer County has done. I think they've been doing a great job. But at the same time, like, those are questions that do need to be asked, and we need to ask ourselves, is what we're doing right now, is it the best thing for us to do? And if currently, I think the answer is yes. But at some point that may change. I am not in a huge rush to get there, but at the same time, if people are coming to me from the community and saying this is really a big concern, and I have had a few already come to me and say they have concerns, and I want to see those explored, and I want to look into those and see. I'm not going to come and say, well, I think it's okay, so therefore it's good. No, I always say, let's ask the questions, and let's get to the bottom, and we can make an informed decision. So hopefully that helps. Did you guys have any other questions? I know we're at 35 minutes, so I know I try to keep this to around roughly 30 minutes. And then also, I record my live streams, and starting with last week's, and I'll put this week up as well, I will start posting these to YouTube as well. I know there are a lot of people who don't do Facebook for various reasons, a lot of which I understand and totally agree with, but I will start putting these up on YouTube as well. So if you guys know of anyone who would love to hear what's going on but does not do Facebook, feel free to, I will post the links up, and then I'll let you guys know, and they can actually go look for it on YouTube. So with that, I don't see any other questions here in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Tammy, Kyle, or Lyle, I'm sorry, not Kyle, Tammy and Lyle and Christine, thank you guys all for your questions and comments. I really appreciate that, as well as Ellen and Jace. I appreciate you guys commenting yesterday on the water, and really just want to keep doing good engagement with you guys, and I hope to see you guys at the board meeting on Friday, or not Friday, Tuesday. Board meeting on Tuesday at 6:30. Have a great day, guys.